Hello, everyone. It's Friday. You know what that means. Welcome to the BGE Cloud and today's segment, the Plus in Pageantry. I am so excited for you guys to get to know my girl here. We're going to let her introduce herself, but first name basis only. This is Ashley, but she's a missus, so she's going to give you that last name.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Suzor-Hoy, and I know you were like, I'm not dealing with that last name pronunciation. Don't blame you. I am a pageant queen and plus-size curve model in the PNW. I am a former Miss Queen City USA and competed for the title of Miss Montana USA for the last 3 years. I had the honor of making a lot of history in the organization. I was the first two-time kidney transplant recipient to compete for the title, as well as the first married woman to compete for the title, which is insane to even say that that is an opportunity that I've been given. I'm also a former Miss Nebraska Earth and competed nationally. And I have walked in New York Fashion Week. I've had the opportunity to walk in Miami Swim Week. I am on the board of directors for Coeur d'Alene Fashion Week and just made my debut as a fashion designer with them, which is beyond incredible. I feel like I've been told I've lived a million lives and I have a very long resume, but to keep it short, I'm also part of the Global Beauty Awards and Pageants Northwest production team, and that is how I have become so close with the lovely Amber.
Oh my gosh. So, yes, being a part of the Pageants Northwest family gives us the opportunity to meet and engage with a lot of people, many of which a lot of you've had the opportunity to meet here on the podcast. You know, our girl Maureen, Lisa, and countless others who have come into my life through Pageants Northwest because even though it's cringy in some situations, we really are a family. Amen. So you do have quite the resume. Some things I didn't know, but we're going to circle back to the last name thing. So here's the thing. Suzor-Hoy is not a hard last name to say. Where I get crossed is that's the moment the Texas wants to come out.
Oh.
So that or-hoy turns into a hoy really, really quick. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like,
well, listen, here's the tea. My parents can't even say it correctly.
Really?
So, yeah, they say Suzor-Hoy, and it's like, it's Suzor-Hoy. Like,
and I was like, it's spelled or-hoy.
Yes.
Yes.
And a lot of things are spelled with an O-R, and they're pronounced I get it. That's totally fine. It's like, if somebody pronounces it wrong, like, I'm not gonna just be like, canceled. But, you know, it's something that my husband is very passionate about because it's been his last name his whole life.
Fair.
So he very much over enunciates it to get that point across.
Shout out to you.
Shout out Tyrell. Hi, cutie.
And that's the funniest part because it's like, okay, we're taking on these last names, right? Mm-hmm. And we don't have the burden of having had it our whole lives. So we're just like, just say it how you say it. And they're behind us like, no. Because my future husband is, he's passive about a lot of things, but family name is not one of them.
Yeah. Like, I will very much be like, hey, it's Suzor-Hoy, but if they mispronounce it, that's on them. I'll be like, you know what? I tried my best. I did what I could.
When you're not going to go out and like give them a good rock bottom, like just to
so many people, but not for a last name. Like, there are a lot of other things that are more serious than that. But Amen. Yeah, back to the last name thing. I never knew if I was going to take my husband's last name because my last name kind of has a legacy where I'm from, my hometown. Like, everybody knows my dad, everybody knows my family. We're very ingrained in the community. But then when my now husband and I started getting serious, I was like, wait a minute, he has a hyphenated last name. If I take his last name, my initials are going to be ASH. Just saying.
I mean, branding wise.
Listen, it literally branding for pageantry, for Instagram, for TikTok, for my fashion design career. It's everything. But I genuinely manifested that because, you know, when you're a kid and you play arcade games and you get a high score, you input your initials.
Yeah.
I would never put ANL. I would always put ASH because I'm Ash. That's my name. People call me Ash. People call me Ashley, you know, anything under the sun. But that's when I was like 8.
Yeah.
Fast. And I never thought ASH could ever be my initials because my middle name doesn't start with an S. That's not a thing. Fast forward, and I'm dating this guy. We're starting to get serious. I look at his Ray-Bans, and he has his initials engraved on it. And I'm like, oh, so not only do you have my dream last name, my dream pink house and my favorite flower already in your yard. Like, okay, I get it.
Some things are just meant. I think so. Junior and I will have been dating for 3 years in December. My, how time flies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but one thing that we talked about really, really early on was the whole last name thing. And my name is so balanced. I'm Amber Bruce. 5 letters on both sides. It's diplomatic, even. Amber Bruce. Fits well on most things. I never struggle finding keychains. AB, I was always going to be line leader, no matter if it was my first name or last name. It was going to be me, right? And his last name is longer, quite longer. And I'm like, do I want my initials to be, my middle name is Rosaline. Do I want my initials to be ARBP, or do I want them to be ARP? Like, do I want to be hyphenated? These are the things us girlies worry about. But I am really, really excited for the next phase for us because we have both imagined this hypothetical wedding, and it's cute. It's cute. It's really, really cute. So it'll be interesting to see what we do in the next year or so. And I like living in that space where it's just like really, really exciting to see what happens next.
Well, you say cute, but I feel like a word you would use is glamorous. I
I
feel like you
mean,
have a pretty glam wedding.
I think it's going to be absolutely outrageous if we make all these things that we want to happen. But also, it's like by the week, it gets smaller and smaller. So I think we're just going to have like a really dramatic elopement, and it's going to be just phenomenal all the way around. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we are here to talk the plus in pageantry. And one reason why I started this channel is for plus size women to be able to come on and tell their story and their experience in the beauty space. So we have a couple of things to talk about. So you have pageant experience, being curvy. What was it that drew you into pageantry?
Funny enough, it was my now husband. When I was studying at the University of Montana, I studied acting, costuming, dance, and entertainment management. And those are not things that are very present in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
And so my husband, now husband, was looking at things online. He was looking at job opportunities for me beyond college. And he calls me one day and he says, "Hey, I'm looking at jobs for you, but I came across the Miss Montana USA pageant. You should apply." And at first I was like, pageants? What? Like in Montana, that's a thing? Like I was just like, no, that's not me. That's not what I do. Like, it sounds fun. And I've always thought that they would be an amazing experience, but it was never something that I even thought of. He said, "You know what, you should just apply.
Mm-hmm.
You can apply and then decide not to do it. That's totally cool, but you should think about it." And a couple months went by, and then I applied, and then I got the email from Maureen. Shout out Maureen.
Because we love her.
Because we love her. She is, so wonderful. And she emailed me to set up a phone call, and I was like, okay, I guess we're going to do this. So she was nothing like I expected. I expected like very like professional, very like,
Yeah,
I don't
like
even know the words. Like
almost like corporate.
Yeah. Not necessarily monotone, but like very serious. But I get on the phone with her, and she is so kind and caring and warm. Like, she just has this aura about her, even electronically. She just has a way of getting you to open up, and she just draws you in and makes you feel special just with one word.
I think it's a lot because she's so open. I mean, we could definitely have a episode where we just praise Maureen.
Mm-hmm.
She would hate it because she just isn't that kind of person. But I think because when I started with Pageants Northwest, it was just David. Maureen hadn't come in and started having an active role just yet. So like my first year, it was just David, and I didn't meet Maureen until pageant weekend. Right. So it was really, really early on. I'm a part of their story. So
yes, you are. Absolutely.
But when I was meeting her at the pageant, again, so warm, so welcoming, and all those nerves that come with pageant weekend really, really just kind of I was put at ease.
They lift away.
Yeah.
So quickly. Yeah. And I will never forget that phone call, because that's the phone call that changed my life. Not only, did it change the trajectory of my life and career as I know it today, but also it introduced me to one of my dearest friends and mentors. And I remember being on that phone call, and she's just asking me questions, trying to get to know me. And one of them was, who is your hero? And I opened up to her about my donor and how much he impacted me and how he saved my life and everything that I've been through. And I could hear her getting emotional. And she said, Ashley, I just want to say thank you for talking about somebody that somebody that has actually impacted your life directly, because so many girls talk about celebrities, the Kardashians, Taylor Swift, they talk about people they've never met. And it's just so refreshing to hear a story like that.
I mean, I think that's an incredible moment to have, because I think a lot of people answer those questions with what they think people want to hear, instead of being honest. And, I know that you have some experience judging pageants, but now you sit on the other side of the table and you hear how recycled some of these answers are. And then that girl comes across that says, my hero is my teacher because XYZ. And, at a hard time in my life, they went above and beyond because X. Not, oh my gosh, I love Kylie Jenner because she's in a relationship and has a baby and a makeup brand. And it's just kind of like, okay, like, what did she actually do for you?
Yeah.
Not to you, for you.
She makes an incredible lip, but
is that all? Like,
is that all? I get it. Like, if you're a makeup artist and her makeup products revolutionized how you do your practice and how you do your own makeup, but I feel like there are so many people that are there next to you day to day, supporting you or teaching you or even just working alongside you, that also deserve recognition.
People someone could easily ask me that question, and I could say Maureen.
Oh yeah,
or
easily.
I could say my great grandmother, because I understand it's a blessing to have an elder like that in your family. Not everybody gets to know their greats or great greats. So her telling me her story and her experience is something that shaped the way that I walk in the world today. It's more personable, and I think it's something that will stick with the judge a lot more. I mean, we can talk judging tea.
So much
judging tea.
Yes. Yeah, but it's just like that. Then you come across as such a genuine person because I have worked with coaches before that are like, oh, for this question you need to say this answer because it shows that you support this, or it shows that you engage with this, or it's a good tie into this thing that's on your resume or on your contestant bio, or you like, this is what you should say. And it's like, but not only did I not come up with it, but it's not genuine. Like, that's not something that I do in my daily life. Like, that's not something that I even think about. So if I want to bare my heart and soul to these judges, why is that something that I want to put on my contestant bio or anything? Yeah. Or in
I mean, there's a point where strategy becomes too overwhelming, and especially like me, whenever I'm going to a pageant, hopefully with Washington across my chest, so that I'm a W. I'm at the end of the line, okay? So one of the main things that girlies say, what are you going to do when you get the title? I'm going to go and talk to the kids in the schools, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And it's like, after you hear that 30 times, you start to get toward the end of the alphabet, and you're like, including all of your sunshine states and other appointed Pacific Northwest regional titles. Oh, hi, thumbs up. It did the little bubble thing that Apple products do. Anyway,
my favorite.
I keep forgetting that they do that, honestly.
I'm always an Apple girly, always and forever.
Yeah.
Till the end of time.
When the bug bit me, it bit hard.
I just know how to use it. You know what I mean? I got my first iPod in 8th grade, and I know how to use it, and I will stick with Apple until the end of time. Unfortunately for me and my wallet.
Well, I think I had a Nano. I think that was my first. Nope, I had an iPod, like the big old white one, like the original one.
The OG. Yep.
And then I got a Nano, and then I got a Touch. Now I felt like I ruled the school with my iPod Touch.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and throughout all that time, obviously, iPhone wasn't big or accessible yet. So I had like all the different galaxies, rant, and the sliders, and all the different stuff. And then when the Razor was out, so the two big phones when I was in high school was either the Razor or the Sidekick. I wanted a Sidekick so bad.
Is that one of the ones it slides sideways?
Yeah, well,
okay.
originally it did like the pop-up screen, like it did like
Yes.
the full
The
rotation,
full rotation.
thing.
Oh my gosh,
Oh
yes.
my gosh, we wanted that so
Mhm.
bad. I wanted
Yeah.
it. And then I was like, oh gosh. But then touchscreen phones started to come out. And I was like, okay, maybe I want a touchscreen phone. And so I got one of those, one that slid. So it had the touchscreen, but it still slid to a full keyboard. And then I was out of school and depressed because my friendship group had completely disintegrated. And I was trying to figure out, like, who am I? What am I going to be? My friends, we're all going different directions. And my mom comes home and I was like, she was like, what you doing? And I was like, I'm just watching TV, you know? And she was like, oh, I tried to call you. I was like, oh, nobody's called me today. Ooh, you know, just like, ooh. And she was like, I tried to call you. Let me try again. And then her purse started ringing, and I was like,
Ma'am?
And she had bought me my first iPhone.
Oh,
And I love her. Shelly Pop, come on, girl.
Miss you.
I feel like I talk about her in every single podcast,
You need to.
But I also feel like I talk about Maureen in every single podcast.
If you don't talk about Maureen in every podcast, then you're not Amber.
Right,
sorry.
Period.
But anyway, okay. So back to it. You were talking about.
See, this is why these things be over an hour. Okay.
And also because this is what happens when you put the two of us in a room together. Everything spontaneously combusts. We cannot be left alone together. Yeah, it's dangerous.
It gets off the rails really quick.
But anyway, you were talking about the Sunshine States, the Washingtons, when you get to the end and making sure you sound unique.
Exactly. Yes. So when you get to the end of the line, it's very easy for the judges to just kind of, you know, so my goal whenever I go into a judge's interview and when I compete at state level, I always try to give myself a W because I know if I go to nationals, I'm going to be a W. So if I can pick my title, I'm going to be West something, 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 because Washington's always at the end of the line. So if I can't keep your attention at state, I know I'm not going to be able to do it at nationals. But yeah, I just always kind of make an effort to kind of get the judges awake, especially at a national pageant. So I can say I've never been ashamed of my interview scores.
As you should. And since we're on the topic, I have to tell you my favorite opening intro I've ever heard. My friend Tegan, shout out Tegan, comes out and she is like 4'11", standing next to a girl who is 6 feet tall. So she comes out and she says, Tegan Gray, Miss Huckleberry USA, future nurse and still growing. And the
cute
pop that she got from the crowd and the look on the face of the judges was so incredible because that's what you have to do. You have to make yourself stand out and you also have to show your personality.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, also read the room because every pageant isn't Miss Grand where you can snatch your wig off and keep going.
Oh. We'll talk about that.
I live.
Oh, hello.
You know,
hi, like, France. Nice to see you.
Girl, stunning. But you know, every system isn't like that.
Right.
So you got to also know where you're at. So, yes. Okay. I love you guys. All right. But so you got your start at Miss Montana USA. Yes. Shout out to you. I also got my start at the USA pageant.
Look at that.
Look at us.
Look at us.
Who said a plus girl couldn't play? But what was it like? Did you feel that your group embraced you? Like, what did it feel like being plus size in that space? And were you the only plus contestant that year?
I feel like I am so blessed to have competed in a state like Montana because it's not like a Texas or a Tennessee or a California where, you know, everybody has been doing this their whole life and they have all this experience and they're all a size 0 or 00 and they're all like in the zone competitive, not even looking at each other. Montana is very much a sisterhood, especially under the guidance of Maureen and David and now Lisa Pierce. Shout out Lisa. Also a guest on the podcast.
Yeah, she's been here.
She's been here. We love Lisa.
One of my favorite blondes.
Oh, We love our blondes.
We love
We love
Lisa.
Lisa. And I just, everybody was giving each other hugs. We were all introducing ourselves. It
Yes.
was never, I feel like I was never like pushed aside because I was curvy or because I was plus size or anything like that. And I have competed at all different sizes, whether I was 140 pounds or 200 pounds. Like I compete at any size.
Amen.
It doesn't matter because I know that I am gorgeous and beautiful and capable and worthy of that title, no matter what I look like. That is not whatever holds me back. But I will say, I feel like, and it's so silly, but I feel like I am always underestimated and looked down upon by the internet bloggers, which are the opinions of the people that don't matter because they only know you by your 75-word bio and a picture of you. They don't know the content of your heart. They don't know who you are. They don't know how you perform on stage. They just see a beautiful image. And a beautiful image does not tell everything. It doesn't tell the story. Because, I mean, I have seen a picture of someone and I'm like, oh, she looks like she's so tall, show up. And again, 4'11", or, oh, she looks like she's short. You show up and she's 6'9" or whatever.
Baby,
Those,
that. So my friend Demi, hi Demi, love her. I was in property management before and was interviewing for a leasing specialist, and um, I and my manager at the time, Danny. Shout out to Danny, we love Danny. We were interviewing this girl, Demi. The way her camera was positioned, we thought she was going to be short. She comes into the interview, she's taller than all of us. Like to the in person, I was like, oh, okay. And it was during COVID, so we couldn't do a lot of, face to face interviewing at the time. But yeah, it was so funny. She came in and I'm like opening the door and I'm like, hello. Okay. Got it. Got it. So yes, y'all, the pictures
can be deceiving, but it's so silly because how can you even try to judge a person's height by a photo, specifically a headshot? But we do. We make those perceptions, and it's so ridiculous. But I am so very blessed to have worked, and I am a talker. That is one thing that Amber already knows about me, and all of y'all will learn about me. But back to my pageant experience, I was not the only curvy girl at my second and third state pageants. My first one, I think I was not the only one, but let me think. They're kind of blending together.
Yes.
Okay.
That happens.
Yeah, it happens, right? And especially when you compete with the same group multiple times. But no, each year I was not the only curvy contestant, which is amazing. And we love seeing representation on that pageant stage. And I am very blessed that I have had phenomenal judges that saw me for my heart and my true character. Because being curvy and making top 6 at Miss Montana USA is not easy.
Mom,
you gotta work, baby. You gotta work. And I have been very fortunate to have judges that love me, and other times I've had judges that didn't love me so much. And you know what? It's like Maureen always says, you change one judge, the outcome can be entirely different.
Yep.
Because on my most recent pageant, Miss Montana USA in 2023, I feel like I had the best performance I've ever had in my entire life. I showed my personality. I was fiery. I had great wardrobe, gorgeous gown. I felt really good in interview, but I didn't even place. And being one of 2 or 3 girls coming back, most of it was newcomers, and not only not placing, but also doing more appearances than I had ever done, doing more prep with coaches than I had ever done, working on myself more than I had ever done, and truly growing as a person in the process. It was a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
Because I had worked harder than ever for that one, but it wasn't my time.
Right.
And because I didn't even place, I was emotional in a good way because I didn't place. That meant that I got to move out to Seattle, and that meant that I got to advance my career, and I got to be closer to Amber and Maureen and David and Jen and Randy and all of my Pageants Northwest family. So that was a huge blessing. And also, no tea, no shade, but because I didn't place, I didn't have to stand on my feet in my heels for approximately 30 to 45 minutes waiting for results. No tea, no shade. Y'all are amazing. I would have fainted. So I'm very grateful I didn't have to do that.
I am internationally known for kicking my shoes off for awards. I've done it in almost every pageant I've ever been in. And I mean, it's the surprise, right? You're standing up there for special awards. Time is a ticking. And then, the blood's pumping in your ears. You don't know what's going to happen next. And then you hear your name for something, right? So I have been on national stages where I've had to skip down barefoot because I'm not doing it anymore. Um, but I definitely resonate with what you said about, you worked harder than you ever worked. You were actually boots on the ground, doing the community service, and, you put so much into it, and then the outcome didn't come as you had planned it. And like my last pageant, I went to the World Ambassador pageant, and
North America
you
represents.
period. So I had a great time. It was with staff that I was familiar with because this pageant is also run by the same staff that does the USA Ambassador pageant.
Oh,
So um, familiar territory as I've competed at USA Ambassador, and I just felt homey. I'd worked really, really hard, uh, practice in here at the boutique, day in, day out, just getting my time in my shoes. I've never felt so comfortable in my heels, ever, 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 ever. And did my absolute best, left it all on the floor, and I was first runner up, which is still a huge honor, but it wasn't what I was going for. I
right.
wanted to win. And the letdown, I felt really childish for being like, I didn't win. And but also trying like it was like combat. I was like, I didn't win, but I was like, the first runner up is still really awesome. And it was just like this really intense back and forth. But I think that's something valuable that we get from pageantry. We get to take the opportunity to learn how to lose gracefully and how to actually deal with those feelings. I feel like there's so many organizations and sports and things like that don't teach their players that. They
Mm.
kind of um, welcome the bad behavior, and it's not cute. It's not cute. You have to learn how to lose with grace, and you also have to understand that if you're going to these pageants for the sole purpose of winning, you are going to be let down more often than not. Oh,
I didn't say anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
nobody saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But I think that that's something that's so important that Maureen and David tell us is that after the pageant, don't post for at least 24 hours because we have the right to feel those emotions. We have the ability to feel let down. Like that's just the human nature.
Mhm.
We're gonna feel let down and we're gonna feel negative feelings. And I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've competed for a pageant and then I was like, that's the last time I ever do that. I don't know why I even try, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yep.
All excuse after excuse. And then after 3 days tops, I'm like, okay, let's start prep for next year.
Yep. I've retired
That's how
several times.
I'm sure. And I have to say, when I didn't even place at my last pageant, I was shocked because there's that trend where, and it's not even intentional, but so often, especially in Pageants Northwest, girls are crowned by their successors and they're wearing the same color.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it happens so often and it's kind of terrifying in the best way.
Serendipitous.
But Heather Lee O'Keefe was the outgoing queen.
Mhm.
She and I literally had the exact same gown, just in different color. Hers was gold, mine was pink and nude.
I remember seeing the pictures for that.
We didn't plan that. Like I know people were like, "Oh, they planned that." Like Ashley and Heather, we had no idea. We had no, there was no plan. That was not a thing that we planned. So I looked at Heather. She walked in, like I was wearing my opening number outfit, and she's wearing her gold gown, and I look at her and I go, I'm gonna
Like,
win.
that's my gown.
Oh my god, I'm gonna win.
That's my
Oh my
moment.
god, it's happening. Like the signs, they're everywhere. Didn't even place. But I have to say, if I'm gonna lose a pageant, not even place, shout out Maddie Rigg, Miss Montana USA.
She's so
She
cute.
is so adorable, but she's also so authentic and real. And let me tell you why I love her. Her question. So I love every girl I compete with. I feel like that's just who I am in my nature. I have nothing but good to say about most people.
I love most of y'all.
We love most of y'all. But when it came time for her onstage question, she was asked something about like our right to bear arms, the Second Amendment, and owning a gun. And the first thing she says is, wow, what a fun question to be asked in a room full of gun owning, law abiding Montana citizens. Like that's so great. And I in that moment I was like, if she doesn't win, I'm gonna throw a fit for her because that is such a good way to take such a serious and important and polarizing and controversial question. Because oh my God, right?
Yeah, I
Like
think
in a state like Montana, especially.
again that's knowing your surroundings, you know. And if you had the pleasure of being judged by judges from Montana, then I mean it just hits the point home that much more. So again, you know, you have to know your surroundings, and not just when you're introducing yourself to everybody, but if you do have the honor of being able to answer an offstage question, it's really important to just like peep the scenery, okay? It's like if she had been in a little bit more um in a state where, you know, guns are kind of like taboo
Yeah.
and it's like a big no-no, then yeah, but in Montana, in open carry Washington, you know, like
Yeah.
she could have in Texas, she gave the perfect
She
answer.
did.
So I think that's really, really great. And I'd never met her. But every time I saw her online, I got the sweetest vibes from her, and her I loved her curls. And
Shout out, we love a girl embracing her natural
come
curls.
on now, come
Yes.
on, there's nothing like it. But I think every time I every time a girl gets a gun question, I think about Kim Lane.
That girl, that queen, that woman. Oh, good Lord. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. I have no idea so I don't know her on-stage question or her answer, but I do know how she is as a judge and the questions that she asks her queens. She does not play.
Oh,
She does not
I'd
play.
love
And
to have
I
the honor.
love it. Oh, I wish more judges were like that with their
I
questions.
would
It's so good.
love to have the
Oh,
honor
it would
of
be an
being
honor.
judged by her.
Oh, to have and to be able to answer a question that she came up with for the top 5. But tell me more
Now,
about her
I
on
mean,
stage. Like, was it?
like she had a gun safety question, and
Yeah.
I was just like, yes, death drop, yes.
Yeah.
Um, but I adore her. I think she's
Oh,
a great competitor, and I love seeing like really, really strong competitors come out of the Pacific Northwest.
yes.
Because I don't feel like when we go to these big pageants, I don't feel like people really expect much from us.
No.
But I loved seeing the coverage on her when she went. I loved seeing the coverage on Maziekel when she went to USA. Um, and who else had really, really great um, news coverage?
Did Samantha Gallia?
Yes,
As she should.
as
I'm
she
gonna rave about
should.
her in a minute. Oh my
And
god.
I actually had a coach on my platform who, before we got on, they were like, that Samantha is something fierce. I love her. And I was like, she's sweet in real life.
She is.
Like,
She's genuinely that girl.
like every time I saw her, she was always really, really kind to me. Her
Mm-hmm.
mother was always really kind to me, and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Because you guys, I don't know if you know this, but when you work on staff, everybody isn't nice. We do have a group, like our Pacific Northwest girlies are renowned for being nice when they go to the pageants, but some of them in state are not nice, and that's the tea.
And that's why they don't go to nationals. Because that is
it,
not the energy we need.
it radiates off of you when you're not a nice person. But yeah,
Yeah.
but when you have someone who comes in and you know they listen to the instructions, they do what they're supposed to do, they perform well, they are kind backstage and on stage.
And they follow the choreography.
Let me tell y'all something, okay? I understand that you want your moment. That's why they asked me back, because I have the perspective of being on stage as a competitor. I understand. I promise I'm not trying to sabotage you. Whatever we do as a production, people on the outside can tell when you aren't in line. People know. And God forbid you end up with a judge who is a producer, who is a choreographer, and they see you blatantly not falling in step. I'm not going to say that's automatically negatives on your score, but we notice it. The last 3 weeks, this is my first weekend in 4 weeks that I've not been judging a pageant. And for me, one of my personal biases is that when I'm looking at a production, I'm looking at the whole production. So I can understand messing up. We all mess up. Nobody's perfect. But when I see you blatantly just doing your own thing, now I got questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking, was this girl at rehearsal? Were they paying attention? Like, how were they with staff? I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, we've all gone the wrong direction on stage. It just happens. It just
it's
happens. Sometimes we
nerves.
go off the wrong side, and that's okay.
Hmm.
But I'm telling y'all, a 5-time or more Miss Congeniality winner is not going to sabotage you or make you look
I
bad.
would never.
That's not the business we're in.
I would never. I'm a
Miss
girl's
Congenialities
girl.
don't do that.
We don't.
We don't.
We don't.
We don't.
I would never.
We would never. Never ever. Never ever. Never ever.
Never would I ever. But yeah, so it's just kind of like when you join an organization, again, you're vying for the title. We all understand that you have that goal, but you're also a part of the full production. So if everybody plays their role, nobody will feel away, if somebody gets more stage time, because typically it's not scheduled that way. Also, you should treat your state pageant or your local pageant like it's the big show, like it's your national or your international pageant. And that way, when you get there, you're more practiced and you don't feel like they're being mean to you when they tell you to cut it out. Because if the show is being broadcast, do you really think the camera is going to stay on you because you feel like doing extra flea flickers on the stage? You want to do backflips and double turns and all this? Mm-mm. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. And then you're going to look crazy on TV. All that money that your family just spent to get you to the big show, and now we can't even see you on television. They're going to cut to commercial. They don't get to commercial mid walk.
Period.
They'll do it. So, little advice, just saying.
Just from two queens that have been on stage and backstage on many occasions.
Also,
many.
Like between us and not them.
Not.
Like, I love being on headset. That's all I'm gonna say.
Ooh, I have never had the honor. And
Ashley,
I know.
Okay, we'll talk about it after.
No.
I don't want to know. So okay. So I interact with contestants through their preparation for the weekend. So on stage, everything. I don't want to know necessarily how interview is, because I want to use like my character radar to be like, okay, I think that this person, this person, this person. But of course, when you have returners, and you see how they perform, you can kind of gauge, how well they're going to do going forward. But yeah, y'all, it's cute. I do appreciate one thing about Pageants Northwest is we are the only state pageants for the USA system, I believe, don't quote me on this, that actually returns the scores. So you can request to get your scores and your judges' feedback, or it may just be feedback. Over the years, it's changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But I know when I was competing, I definitely was able to reach out and get my feedback.
Yeah. I have never competed anywhere else, so I don't know about other states, but I do know that I was able to get judges' feedback. And like during my pageant, I was able to not only get the feedback, but also I got to see my scores. So I was like, but you also know, like, I'm an overthinker. I don't know about you, but then I'm like, oh, I bet this judge gave me that score. I bet this judge gave me that score. Oh, and their face looked like this, so I bet they scored me lower than.
Oh no!
I try to line it up. I am one of those people.
I swear, I can't. I just don't have the capacity, because then I'd start breaking rules and reaching out to judges.
Oh,
I just don't.
I mean, listen, I'm not. I'm like that. I'm not. Like, here's the thing. I'm not a rule breaker. I would never do that. But I would do anything else. I get in my own head so much. It's a problem.
I would legit just be like, I'd be like, okay, girl. So what's tea? Like, all you had to say. No, I'm a little messy, but I'm not that messy.
I try so hard not to be messy because I want to come back. Like,
well, and that's another thing. It's like I remember having a conversation with Maureen when they did away with the age restrictions, and just kind of like, okay, now I have to think, do I want to compete again, or do I want to keep my job?
Right.
And I decided that I love my job and I love my position with Pageants Northwest too much.
As you should.
Yeah, in the back of my mind, I'm like, could I be Miss Washington USA?
I mean, I think like you representing Washington, me representing Montana on the national stage together. I think that's so iconic.
It would be so cute. I mean, I remember you said that earlier in the interview, you were saying that you had a judge who said something negative to you,
Oh God, I don't
or not a judge, a coach. Sorry.
Oh yeah, they were just. Well, I could go on. There was a coach that was like nitpicking my choices. Like, no, that's bad for you. You need to do this. No, that's bad for you. You need to do that. But yeah, earlier I was touching on like a coach was like, you need to say that this is your favorite this because then it can tie into this about your platform. Like one thing specifically, it's like, oh, like your favorite celebrity, you should put Taylor Swift because she's a powerful businesswoman just like you. And I was like, okay, I get that. But John Cena exists, so I'm not gonna do that. But thank you for the idea.
Does he? Because I've never seen him.
Not only have I seen him, but I've hugged him twice.
I just love that those memes will never die.
Never. It makes me so happy. Well, and just the thing, like he holds such a special place in my heart. For those that don't know, when I had my first kidney transplant, I also got a Make-A-Wish. And my Make-A-Wish was to go to WrestleMania 30. And John Cena was one of the five wrestlers, 6 wrestling personalities that I got to meet. And I got pictures with him. He gave me a whole plaque with my name in it, inducting me into the Hall of Champions. And it was an amazing, like, and he's already been a hero of mine because he's granted more Make-A-Wishes than any other celebrity or public figure or anybody. He's granted, I think, 750 plus wishes. It could be 650. Don't quote me on that because it's been a little while. But how much his catchphrase is never give up. Like for a girl that's been in the hospital more times than she's been in pageants, like, I mean, it's kind of one of those things. Hospital. All right, let's end it now.
Like,
I'm gonna head out.
Take the mic off. I've never been in the hospital.
Yeah.
By the grace of God.
By the grace of God, absolutely. But yeah, I remember I started watching wrestling when I was 14 years old. And when I was about 15 or 16, I was in the hospital. So, like my kidney shut down because I was dehydrated. And I just remember like I was laying in the hospital bed just thinking, never give up, never give up. And I would literally like stand up from my hospital bed and hold my pole that has like the fluids and whatnot on it and just walk back and forth to try to get my body moving, to get the fluid going, to get all of it out of my system and like just heal my body faster so that I could get out of the hospital faster and get home faster. And he helped, like just his words and seeing him on TV every week helped me so much to heal myself and to push myself to do better every day. Mm-hmm. And so that's why, as silly and possibly cringy as it could be, having John Cena as your favorite celebrity on your contestant profile, my first 2 pageants, the last question of my interview for both of them was, why is John Cena your favorite celebrity? And let's just say I did a lot better the second time with that one.
I think questions like that really kind of tell a lot about a person. You know, the judges are trying to get to know you, and they're also interviewing you for a very, very prestigious job opportunity. And so for me, my first few years that I competed, I had Angela Bassett on mine. But this is before, you know, her role in Black Panther. This is before her role on 911. So she wasn't as commercially successful as she is now. And this is yet another reason why representation is important in these spaces, because I had so many judges who just didn't know who she was, even at that point. And we're talking 2012, 13, you know what I mean? And I would be flabbergasted. I think the first time a judge asked me who Angela Bassett was, I couldn't recover. Because I was like, pardon moi? The phenom, the acting goddess that she is. Like, and I just would I would feel myself be like, okay, this is my moment to express why representation in every aspect of beauty and industry is important. So I've been able to grow that answer now. But the first time I was like, what do you mean you don't know who Angela Bassett is? Put some respect. And then I'd be like, she played Tina Turner in her biofilm. And people were like, biofilm. And I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, I see where I am.
Okay. I'm not amongst friends. It's what you're doing.
This is not a safe space, is what I'm hearing.
I'm not amongst friends. Actually, funny story. And I think I've told it a couple times here on the podcast. Funny story. My first pageant, unbeknownst to me, one of my cousins was the judge. So was a judge. So I lived between Seattle and Texas my whole life. Most of my childhood, like the younger developmental years, were in Texas. So when I moved here, I didn't know a lot of my biological dad's family. Um, so I heard them announce the judges before the show started, and I didn't think twice about there being a Bruce in the audience. I honestly assumed that it was a Caucasian person, because up to that point, most of the Bruces that I had met were white. Okay. I've actually met one Asian Bruce family. But anywho, so fast forward, we're in interview, and I've been having the time of my life, great time, great rehearsal, felt really good, felt very confident. I think he was like my last judge because we were doing round robin at that time, my last judge to actually sit with. So I sit with him, and he starts, "How are you doing?" "Oh, I'm great, feeling good, feeling strong." Like, ask me questions quickly, quickly. We don't have a lot of time. And he goes, "Yeah, how's your mom?" "Mom's great, she's going to be in the audience, really excited, my first pageant, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "How's your Aunt Helen?" And I was like, "How do you know my Aunt Helen? What do you mean?" And he was like, "Well, I've enjoyed talking to you, but I don't know if my scores are count because I'm pretty sure you're my cousin." And I was like, "Huh, you don't say." "Okay, nice to meet you." And then literally get to the dressing room. This is in the age where they used to take our phones. I keep telling people that. They used to take our phones. And it
Miss
was
it.
the greatest thing they ever did.
I
I hope
wish.
I
I
hope they can bring
wish.
it back. It was so good for us.
But how will we get the content?
But yes. So we got back to the hotel because that was when they used to bus us to the hotel. Got back to the hotel. I called my mother immediately. And I'm like, "Who is this man? I do not know him, but he says he's my cousin." And so it was just really, really funny. And I think that experience will always stick with me.
Because what do you, as the contestant, do in that situation? Do you just let your family member, the judge, do the work, or do you go to the director and say, "Hey, this is a potential thing.
Like, this is a
Like,
potential
what do we
thing,
do?"
but
Like,
I mean, looking back on the entirety of my first year performance, I wasn't placing anyway. Like, in the moment, it was possible, but now knowing what I know today and looking back, it wasn't going to happen for me that time around. So I don't think we would have had any conflicts of interest. But I
fair is
did,
fair.
I did have a really, really great time that first time. But going into it, I thought I was going to be one and done.
Oh, same. That was my thing. Like, because I was in college at the time of my first pageant. I was going into it as, oh gosh, I think it was my senior year. I was studying acting, costuming, dance, entertainment management. I was the social media coordinator and president of Trendsetters at the U, which was the official fashion blog for my university.
Girl,
I
I'm
was in a
tired.
play. I was in dance show. Like, I was doing it all. And I not to do my own horn, but I'm pretty awesome. Like, I was part of the prestigious Advocates, which is the university's volunteer mentorship program, and like all of these things that are so prestigious. And I had them all over my resume. And I have a stage background. I have a performance background ever since I was 3 years old. And I thought I was a one and done. I had this gorgeous sequin iridescent gown that was stunning. But looking back on it, it's like, and I didn't place that year. But looking back on it, it's like, well, yeah, girl, you didn't do the homework.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you yourself as an individual are amazing, but I didn't know how to properly convey that to the judges. And I didn't know proper hair and makeup for pageantry.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I'm beautiful no matter what, but there is a certain look that looks better on stage, and you need to know how to highlight your natural beauty.
Hmm.
I Let's just say my lips, they were messy. You don't need to talk about her.
My first 2 years, I don't know, and I think it was literally going into like the makeup girly era.
Mm-hmm.
So first and
Oh,
foremost, that
yes.
first year, I did not know how to fill in my brows.
Oh, yeah.
That's one. And then second year, I never did the concealer lips,
Oh,
but
no
I
way.
definitely had the wrong nude.
Okay.
Like I had the wrong nude the second year.
Valid.
And then it's just like other things. Like when you're a plus size woman or you fit into another marginalized group in the beauty industry, you want to embrace, you want to be like, I'm going to show this off because I need for people to see that, this part of my body is beautiful. Like I've always been top heavy. I made the mistake of praying for boobies, not understanding how genetics work. Um, and God answers prayers. Let's just leave it there. But yeah, so being top heavy, I always wanted, oh no, I'm really confident. I don't think that people should shy away. Like, I don't think you should have to hide your boobs. Like, I'm going to wear a strapless gown. And while, I love a good strapless gown, for me on a pageant stage, it is a lot to take in, or like, even when I'm in a swimsuit, it's like, oh, I love my little extra. I love my squishy spaces. If I had a problem area, I would say it was my back. So I purposely buy a swimsuit where I'm exposing my back. I feel like that's me fighting this fight head on.
Yes.
Okay, on the beach, but on a pageant stage, you have to find what's flattering and what's going to look good under the lights because you think you're putting a little highlight on it and you're really putting a spotlight on it.
Yes.
And things can become distracting. So it's just kind of like finding things that flatter your body is important, though you also want to highlight those things that people tell you, oh, like, don't show this, don't show that. It's too much this, it's too much that. It's like, but then baby, I'm just too much. Like,
listen, if you can't handle all this, then settle for less. That's on you. That's on you. No, and I did have that conversation with a judge or a coach, and because of my medical history, I have 3 ginormous scars on my abdomen. They're not necessarily the most visible, especially on stage, but they're there. And I am so beyond proud of my scars. Like that is a rule that I have made for me, myself, and I, that I will never wear a one piece unless it is like nationals, and that is what I am given, no questions asked. Right. But I will always and forever wear a 2-piece, and I will always show them off, because if you can't handle me with that, then you can't handle me. And I had a very esteemed, a very like high, not high ranking, but like a very well known and well respected coach say, you should wear a 1-piece because that's too distracting. And I was like, you know what? If they can't handle that, then I'm peacing out. But it's kind of knowing those battles, as a fashion designer and as the former president of my university's fashion blog, we are never in the business of hiding flaws. We are here to accentuate our opposite of flaws, our amazingness, our gorgeousness, our highlight the highlights. And it's so hard to find that balance sometimes, but like people are like, oh, you're curvy, you need to wear this. Oh, you're this, you need to wear that, and like one judge, or I keep saying judge, but that's because like we're kind of talking about that.
I was like, who's judging you?
Right. Well, there was a coach that I was showing them my gown, and I was like, I found this gorgeous white gown. I feel so confident and beautiful in it. It's a white gown and it has these gorgeous cutouts. And she goes, oh girl, you should never wear white. Like I could see you in a black gown, just stunning on stage, really slim. And I'm like, we don't need to speak anymore.
I've had interesting coaching experiences, and the more experienced I get in this space, I see those types of coaches like cycling out. But I mean, I've had coaches tell me when I was preparing for a state USA pageant that, why not choose a different pageant system, because there's never going to be a plus size Miss USA. I've had coaches who have commented on me being Black competing in my state, and it's just kind of like, I understand that your experience has taught you something, but glass ceilings are being broken every single day.
Every single day.
While when we do get a plus size Miss USA, it's probably not going to be a size 20, 30 woman. It's probably going to be like a size 11 or like a size 12.
Or what size are you? It's going to be that size.
Yeah. It'll be like a size 8.
A size 8, literally. Also, sizes are such trash, because I've seen girls and they, in my eyes, are so tiny, and I see them next to another girl same, like in my eyes, I look at them same size, right? But then they say like, oh, I'm a size 8 and I'm a size 2. And I'm like, but you're the same.
No, I had a
It's so
team.
mind blowing to me.
Working this job has definitely shown me, like, it's just the way clothes fall on your body.
Yes.
So I had a team come in, try on a gown. I think she tried on like a size 4, and then that pink Jonathan Kane, which I'm pretty sure is a 10 or a 12.
That's
I could
a
be
10.
wrong. Okay.
I may or may not have looked at it or tried it on or taken the 14 home.
May or not be a little familiar with it.
It may or may not be in my closet.
Tried the 10 on and it fit. It fit her.
Yes.
And it just kind of blew all of our mind in that moment, because it just goes to show, you have to go through the motions, try the things on. Don't just, settle for the size. Like, I mean, you have a fashion background. I have a fashion background. I went to school for fashion design.
Yes.
I love that time of my life. I just felt so free to create, and it made me really, really happy. And then I fell into property management, and I was like, "Oh, but money is nice.
Money's great.
Money's so good.
Oh my gosh. Especially when you have hobbies like us.
I was like, yes. I tell people I have expensive hobbies, and then they're like drugs, and I'm like, no, God, no.
Beg pardon?
You jumped.
What do I look like?
You jumped a big jump there. No.
No.
Not drugs. But yes, pageantry is a very expensive sport.
Yes.
And I think that's another thing that gets people a little emotional when it comes to the results, because you've made the investment to be there. But again, if you're going to make the investment to be there, you have to make the investment in making the whole experience about more than just winning.
Yes.
Because I think that is really a space where a lot of people get crossed.
Definitely.
They think just because you showed up, you're going to win, but it's like you're in the room with, say, 20 other girls, and they all want to win. So you need to find something so much deeper to get from the weekend, whether it's connections, whether it's actual friendships, whether it's ideas to talk about in your tell-all book. Also, I put this on Facebook the other day. Please stop writing tell-all books if you're not going to tell all.
I saw that post. I need to know what and who and everything you're talking about, but that's for another time, because I feel like there's something that I missed. Just saying. But yeah, because for me, at my second pageant, that was when I made top 6, right? And I obviously didn't win, but I won Miss Congeniality. I won the Spirit Award.
Amen.
I was nominated for a Global Beauty Award, and I was invited to compete at a national pageant. So all of those things came from pageant weekend, right? Because I chose to embrace opportunity. And there were girls that placed higher than me that walked away with less. And I feel like, I'm not going to lie to you, like when I feel like Heather and I both won that pageant, because Heather obviously won the title, but I won another title and I won the money to pay for that title.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? We like money. It's all about embracing the opportunities that come along with pageant weekend. And also 2 of the girls that I competed with that weekend were in my wedding as bridesmaids. And another one came to the wedding from Ohio.
Come on, church.
Come on.
I mean, there's so much. I met my best friend in the entire world at a national pageant.
Yeah.
And fun fact, she's the reason why I stopped looking at headshots before I go to pageants.
Oh, you can't.
Because I looked at the headshots for all the girls. I saw hers and I was like, oh, I know she's going to be mean. And I had that preconceived notion about her. I got to the pageant, and I'm not one for awkward silences. So I'm going to walk in, I'm going to introduce myself. I saw her, and I think it was her mom, and I think she had a team that year. They were all standing together, and I just sashayed myself on over. I introduced myself, and we have been best friends ever since.
As you should.
And it's the funniest thing, because out of all the women on the website, I knew in my heart, I was like, she's going to be the one that I get along with the least. And I was like, I'm going to have to watch out for this one. And sure enough, walked up to her, and we've been kiki ever since. And she just won a international title. Well, it's a national title, but with an international system. So she just won the Ms. USA title for the international Ms. system. So it's Laura's other system.
Yes, Laura's other. Wait, they just had that pageant. Wow, I've been off the radar. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that pageant happened, because I have. I mean, I know a couple people that were competing for that system. I mean,
so it was her.
Angelique.
Well, I don't think Angelique went, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. So, but it was her. the owner of Glow Bling Yourself, Serena,
Yeah, I love
won the
her.
Mrs.
Oh, I'm
title.
obsessed with her.
And
Oh my
then
God, that red gown.
the international title went to Jasmine, I think her name is, and she's
Yes.
from the
Oh
UK.
yeah, from the UK. Yeah,
Mhm.
we follow each other. Wait, who's your bestie?
Shelby Brown. Yeah.
Ah, love it.
I love her.
Love it.
She literally looks like a Barbie doll, like
I love that.
in person.
As you should.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We went to New York together. Okay.
Tell
we
all.
went to New York together. I was auditioning for MacDougall's Face of Fabulous. And I got all the way to New York, and it was such a great experience. But she went with me, and I think she had a photo shoot or something while she was there. So it all just kind of worked out.
Perfect.
And we're walking together because I had never been to Times Square. So we're walking together downtown New York. It's dead of night. I'm seeing all the places that I've seen on SVU, and I'm like, oh my God, this alley looks so familiar. That's terrible. I
love it, but also real talk.
But yeah, we're walking through, and we get catcalled, and I was like, oh, checked off the box. I'm getting catcalled in New York. Like, what could be more iconic? And so the guy was like, hey, where you going? Where you going? And we were just like, ooh. And then he was like, hey, let me holler at you. Come on, mocha. Come on, chocolate. Like, where you going? And I was like, oh my God, girl, give me your hand. And he was like, oh, I'm into that too. And I was like, I was like, help.
Even more iconic.
I was like, we need an adult. So we get all the way. We go to Times Square. We get our photos. I finally see my first rat. Also was on my checklist. I was like, I have to see a New York rat. So I see my first New York rat. It's the size of a raccoon, literally, in the busiest intersection in the world. Crazy. We start walking back to our hotel, and the same guy is still in front of like the spot, like in front of like the little bodega situation. I was like, oh, okay. He was like, and then, he's like into it. He's like, oh, you guys came back for me. Da, da, da. I was like, girl, I can't take you nowhere. I can't take you anywhere. We're going to have her on the pod really soon. So you guys look out for my interview with Miss Shelby Brown. But
I can't even. I need an adult. I need to start saying that because I feel that way so often. I just turned 27, but no, I need an adultier adult.
I just turned 32 and I still need an adult.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
But I tell, so one thing that I still do from volleyball is I say help, for any and everything. So I could be like trying to reach for something in the cabinet and I'll be like, help, at home by myself. Just me and the dogs. Okay. Or like sometimes I'm in here and I'm, responding to an email, and you guys, okay, be nice. All right. To your small business owners. Okay. A lot of us we're just people. We don't have automated systems to respond to you. It's us. Okay. The individual. Because I had somebody who came by, or they sent me an email. I responded to their email and let them know that I'd be out judging. Then they sent me a message on the social medias with a lot of exclamation points. Baby, don't do that. Don't do that.
Unless it is your friend winning a pageant. Save the exclamation points.
Yeah, well, that wasn't cute. And then I responded and I was just like, hey, I responded to your email. Maybe you didn't see it, but, then she didn't respond. Okay, so now you really want to fight me, like when we see each other.
They can talk the talk, but when it's like they can dish it out, but they can't get a dish back at them. That happens to me way too often with a certain family member.
Oh, we hate that. Mm-hmm. We hate that. But we're gonna get this back on track because where are we at? We're an hour. Okay.
Shocker.
We not shocked at all.
Shocker. Sorry.
We're a little bit of an hour. We're a little more than an hour in, but one thing I do want to touch on is your experience with the Coeur d'Alene Fashion Week and your debut as a fashion designer. So tell us what this means to you. Like, are you going to have mass produced designs? Like, what is your niche when it comes to that experience?
Well, so when I studied acting and costuming at the University of Montana, my senior project was costume designing American Idiot the musical. I have had a pathetic obsession with Green Day ever since 2018 when my school put on American Idiot the musical. I became so obsessed. I had to know everything. I had to learn everything. I had to watch everything. I had to study everything. I went deep into this obsession. It's my favorite musical of all time to this day. And I just got to see Green Day live, VIP style. It was incredible at T-Mobile Park. one of the greatest nights of my life. But
I've still been calling it Safeco.
Oh, you know what? So, I mean, you're a local, as you should. I respect that, as you should, as you absolutely should.
Yeah, I still go. I'm going to Safeco, and people are like, "Where?"
Yeah,
it makes me feel old, actually.
Well, I just know you'll never feel old with me because I've been here a year. So just know that I've been here a year. It's not because it's been like not it's not a thing. It's a newbie thing. It's not a time thing.
I've been like, people are like T-Mobile Park, and I'm like, oh, is that new?
I mean, maybe a little bit.
I'm like, is that new?
Where is that? Is that by Safeco?
Yeah. Is that down by Safeco?
But luckily, my mom it has been a massive Mariners fan for 10 plus years. So at least I know what you're talking about. Like, I wouldn't be like, huh?
What's that again? Okay.
Where? Oh, yeah, that one. But anyway, so I literally made sketches of costumes for every single character in the show. And then there's a local theater group that I've done a little bit of virtual work with, but we've never worked like we've never been in person together. But I literally took that group of people, cast the show, based my designs on those people, and then I was like, okay, now I got to bring this to life. Now I need to do this show, right? But then fast forward to the end of last year, I was like, you know what? Next year is the 30th anniversary of Green Day's album Dookie and the 20th anniversary of their American Idiot album. What better way to pay homage to the greatest band of all time than to do a fashion line dedicated to them? And I've been pulling pieces for the last however many years, like in my own wardrobe and beyond, like preparing for this moment. So I had already walked for Coeur d'Alene Fashion Week for 2 designers in 2023. We'll touch more on that after I talk about the design process. But I reached out to Kit Widmeyer, our Miss Idaho USA. Shout out to my bestie. I love you.
Congratulations.
Mwah. Miss you. Congrats on a phenomenal showing. Also, Marilyn Monroe. Hello. Iconic. Period. That was a period moment. That was a mic drop.
Her gown performance was really good. Your gown performance was really good.
Oh. She was serving face. She was serving body. She was serving everything. She was serving.
Like, yeah, it was like her. I think I teared up a little bit. Her gown performance was really, really stellar.
I sobbed, but I thought that was my own personal bias because I mean how close we are. But I mean that girl has done wondrous things for me in my career. I can never repay her. What she does for her community and all of the other people that she works with through CDA Fashion Week. It's like, girl, when do you sleep? But also, like, I've stayed with her. I know when she sleeps.
I was like never. Like Maureen. Circling back around.
Circling woman.
Full circle.
Full circle. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, girl, like, I have these designs. I have a lot of the pieces pulled already. I would love to make my fashion designer debut. I feel like this is a good time. I feel like, you know, we work well together. I'm officially on the board. Let's make this happen. And so about 2 months before the show, it was like New Year's, right? And I get the official text from her like, hey, how would you like to make your fashion designer debut at Coeur d'Alene Fashion Week? And I screamed. I sprinted down the stairs with my injured ankle. Tyrell looks at me and he goes, what's wrong? I'm like, why you gotta bring your negative energy right now? This is a magical moment.
Like, what's right?
This is a historical moment. Hello. You know what? I'm not even gonna tell you the good news because you don't deserve it. And then he's like, huh? You know how I get. But anyway, so that was when the rest of the prep started. So I immediately started going and getting more clothes from like Goodwill and a couple other secondhand stores. I did a lot of thrifting and then I did a lot of upcycling. So in February, we did open casting. So we got to cast our models. I had a list of about 22-ish models that I wanted. So I pitched them to her and she said, okay, I'll get back to you with a finalized list. I got my finalized list. And then that got cut down day of show, which not in a negative way, like in the way that things need to happen. Let's just say that. Because I know these models for how they walked, how they looked,
right,
and how and the energy that they brought. Like there were people I cast because, oh, hello, you just lit up the room like you're mine. I can teach you how to walk. I can't teach you how to be a good person, and you know that. So I got pretty much every model that I wanted. Okay. But there were some that they were like, nope, attitude problems. And I'm like, good, I didn't want to work with them anyway.
But you see that, people? You see how that comes back around? Like, your attitude counts.
You will lose opportunities if you are a negative person or if you are up on your high horse. Just saying. Like, you are not bigger than the people you're trying to work with. Like, you are just, like...
And that's just how it is.
Like, get out. And don't let the door hit you on the way out. So then day of, I'm doing fittings, showing people like the pieces that I pulled for them. I'm like, I want you to try on this one, and this one, and let me know which one, like, and we will decide together which one is the best. And there was one person that I was like, send me all of your measurements. I'm making this from scratch for you. And so a lot of the pieces were like, there were a few pieces that were unedited, a lot like, unaltered, like just pulled from the closet and put on a model. I was very like thrifty, but I'm also big on sustainability. So everything was secondhand. I didn't buy anything new.
Good.
Anything. No, we're not doing that. So I am so good at rambling. It's not even funny. But the day of, everybody's doing hair and makeup. We're doing our finalized fittings. We're doing our photo shoots on my iPhone. It was a magical time. And I even got my best friend in the entire world to walk for me. And he is like the most introverted introvert from small town Montana, like doesn't talk to people. Like he has his own YouTube channel where he plays video games in his basement with his friend. Shout out Blaze. You are the greatest human alive. And I love you with all my heart. But he came and he's like not into fashion, not into modeling, not into anything. But he majored in theater and he was on the production team for American Idiot the musical. Wow. So it all came full circle and I got to have him walk with me and it was fantastic and he killed it for having no modeling experience. I'm like, yep, that's my bestie. That's my best friend. Like he brought that energy and I think he even had a toothpick in his mouth for it. And I was like, living. It was so good. But all of the models I worked with, all of the fellow designers I worked with, it was such a cool process because I'd never done it as a fashion designer.
Right.
Like I said, I've walked in New York Fashion Week and that was pretty seamless. And then walking in Coeur d'Alene Fashion Week last year, awesome. Missoula Fashion Week as well. So cool. Such a fun experience. It was definitely different than I expected, but I got so much out of it. So right now I don't have any plans for like another line yet. I have inspiration, I have ideas, I have things in the works, but I'm also working a full-time job and just moved for the second time in a year. So we're taking a break.
What part of the year does the Coeur d'Alene Fashion Week usually take place?
Typically it happens in March, April time. In 2023, they had CDA Swim Week, which unfortunately I had to miss because I was out of sick time and we hate that. And swimsuit is my thing. Like that's where I thrive is swimsuit, but unfortunately I had to miss it. And I think we were going to have it this year, but obviously we have some things that happened like Kit winning Miss Idaho USA. And also she is focused on so many other incredible philanthropic efforts that she has with the Made with Kindness Foundation and honoring the Idaho 4. It was a little too busy to do that, but we had planned ahead for that to happen. We were like, we're probably not going to do it this year. Or maybe next year. Listen, I'm not like, this is a her thing. Like she is 100% large and in charge. And I love that for her. So I just go with the flow. I do what she says. And when she says it's showtime, I'm there ready to go. But so it's usually around March and April. But let's just say we have some big plans for this next one. I cannot dive into them. I cannot tell you what it is. I cannot divulge. Thank you for finding the word. I almost said divulge, and I'm like, we're not even going to try to say that word. I'm not going to divulge any of that. I'm not going to spill any tea, but let's just say we have some big names that we're trying to get to come, and it's this close to happening. We just need to finalize a date.
Period.
So keep on the lookout.
So another thing that I usually have everybody do before I close show.
Yes.
2 things. You need to share your social handles where everybody can follow and support you in your fashion pageant, all around good pink person, like persona. Where can they follow you? And then, and then tell us how you tap into your big goddess energy.
Always. So you guys can follow me on any of my many Instagrams at Ashley Suzor-Hoy for my personal, at Ashley_from_wrestling_ if you are into pro wrestling and want to follow my journey with that. Pink Room Studio Productions for the production company that my husband and I run. It's where we do Coeur d'Alene Fashion Week, I need my coffee. I need my coffee. CDA Fashion. It's where we share all of our production work that we do from CDA Fashion Week, Pageants Northwest, Global Beauty Awards, and all of the other shows that we do across the Seattle area. That's where we share everything there. And then ASH Designs Official for all of my fashion design work. But I do have some upcoming projects that I'm going to start with that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get some things for the holiday season. I'm planning on making my Christmas outfit this year to go with the shoes that I showed you earlier.
Yes.
So here's to hoping. But yeah, and also if any of you guys are in the PNW and you want to get involved with CDA Fashion Week, please reach out because we are always looking to grow. We're always looking to provide opportunity for more models and fashion designers in the area because there's not a huge fashion network out in this area, and we're trying to grow it bigger than ever before.
Yeah, I know here in Washington, I know that we have an Ebony Fashion Week. Yes. We have the Philam Fashion Week.
That was huge.
Yeah, I think that went off really, really well from what I saw.
Oh, those designs were gorgeous.
And then I don't know, it's really inspiring.
Yeah.
Because it makes me want to put my degree to work. But
right.
I think for me, I think I'm going to make my blankets and ta-da, make my blankets and I'm going to start rhinestoning. But this is all depending on if I go back to work.
Yes.
So like if I go back and work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday and just have the shop open on the weekends, that will kind of determine what I do. But I do, being my own boss has definitely inspired me to be more creative. Yes. And to actually, like, I'm sketching more than I ever sketched in my life.
That is like the most zen I ever am, is when I'm just sitting designing something or another, whether it's a dress or another American Idiot idea that I have. There is nothing like that.
And so we really have to move, folks, because I hear my neighbor is a church. We love them. Mm-hmm. We ride for them, but they're about to get started. I hear them on piano.
Should I tap into my big goddess energy?
Yes. How do you tap into your big goddess energy?
Oh my God. So like I talked about, first married woman to compete, first 2-time kidney transplant recipient to compete, and all this other history I've made. But my biggest thing is being the person that little me wanted to see. Amen. Or, being the representation that other people need or want to see, and inspiring others to follow in my journey. Because I have had so many people come up to me and say, hey, because of you, I decided to compete. And other people that are like, hey, because you wore your crop top, I decided I'm going to wear my crop top. Who cares? No matter what, I'm beautiful. So being able to, I love our current Miss USA with her motto, if you can see me, you can be me. I fully ride with that. That is how I feel like I live my everyday life. That is next weekend. Girl.
The same as Miss World?
I think so. It might. Are you going? Are you going to Miss World? You go? Let's go together. I have to take it. We gotta go. But yes, by tapping into my big honest energy, I rock it and flaunt it no matter what size I am. Like whether I'm going to the gym 5 days a week or I'm sitting at home on my couch just trying to survive, which has been a little bit of this last year. Hey, listen.
That's like mental health.
Listen. Like I said, I've moved twice in the last year. Like we've been riding that couch a little bit because it's exhausting. Existing is exhausting, and sometimes you need to put yourself first.
Amen.
But things are turning around. The house is almost complete. We finally have a gym membership. I'm taking care of myself, eating healthier, except for this week because birth week. We're gonna eat out. We're gonna eat out.
Happy belated.
Thank you, and happy belated because I haven't seen you since.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, right. It's been that long.
Yeah, I'm an old gal.
Yeah. You're a child. No.
32 feels different.
Yes.
In the best way.
Mm-hmm. But also that big honest energy that I put out over the internet by hyping everybody up in the comments and on my stories.
Amen.
That's another way. I mean,
like you said, it's definitely all about making sure you're taking care of yourself.
Yes.
Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all the things. So my Peloton is a big part of my big goddess energy.
I wish I could.
But they are getting crunk next door. So it's about time to go.
Yep.
So I love you guys. Thank you, Ashley, for joining us today.
Thanks for a blast.
Thank you all for tuning in. This has been, oh my God.
This has been a long time.
This has been a long time coming.
It has.
So this has been the Pleasant Pageantry on the BGE Cloud. Thank you all. Bye.
Part one of many.
Right?